Thank you, Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, Mr. Dominic Raab. Excellencies, I would like to begin my statement with a short hymn from our philosophy, which is there in Shukla Yajurveda. Dauhum Shanti, Antariksham Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Apa Shanti, Aushadaya Shanti, Vanaspatiya Shanti, Vishwadeva Shanti, Brahmam Shanti. This means let there be balance in space, the sky, the earth, the water. Let there be growth in plants, in the trees. Let there be grace in God and bliss in the soul. Let there be balance in everything. And let such peace be with every one of us. From this Vedic message, it is very clear that environment belongs to all living beings. So it needs protection by all and for the welfare of all. Climate change is a defining issue of our time. Without drastic actions by us collectively, adapting to its impacts in the future may well be impossible, but definitely will not be more impossible, but definitely more difficult and costlier. The global community has addressed the issue of climate change through various mechanisms, central to which is the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement negotiated under this framework. Together they present a delicately balanced global democratic effort to take climate action in a nationally determined manner based on certain fundamental agreed principles, the foremost among which is common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities, and which must underline all future discussions on climate change. Therefore, before we start discussing the issue of securitization of climate, we need to ensure that we are not building a parallel climate track where these mechanisms and principles are brushed aside or not duly considered. Mr. President, the 2019 IPCC Special Report Climate Change and the Land says that extreme weather and climatic or slow onset events may lead to increased displacements, disrupted food chains, threatened livelihoods, and could contribute to exacerbated stresses for conflict. Even the best science available claims that climate change only exacerbates conflict and is not a reason for conflict and does not threaten peace and security. There is no common, widely accepted methodology for assessing the links between climate change, conflict, and fragility. Fragility and climate impact are highly context-specific. In addition, both peace and conflict assessments, as well as vulnerability assessments, face significant challenges when it comes to the data availability, as was mentioned earlier, and impact measurement. Mr. President, in number of fragile contexts where governments are struggling to provide basic services due to capacity and legitimacy issues, instances of chronic emergency conditions and famine risks are largely driven by continued political violence, disrupting harvests and aid supplies rather than by climate factors alone. This underscores the idea that a complete picture of climate vulnerability only emerges with an assessment of states' capacity to be the primary responder to interrelated environmental, social, economic, and security dynamics. The nationally determined contributions are largely about mitigation commitments and adaptation requirements that collectively determine whether the countries will achieve the Paris goal of limiting the global average temperature increase to well below 2 degrees. Parties are nowhere required to communicate on climate-related security risk in their NDCs. Moreover, an in-depth analysis of the NDCs submitted in the first round has shown that member states see climate change as a risk to the well-being of their citizens and to some degree their economies, but never as a risk to social stability, national sovereignty, or the functioning of the state. Of the 16 countries that have submitted their updated NDCs to the UNFCCC Secretariat by October 2020, none have framed climate change as risk to peace and stability. The idea of climate change and actions should not be to move the climate ambition goal post-2050. It is important for countries to fulfill their pre-2020 commitment. That is the beginning. Climate action needs to go hand in hand with the framework for financial, technical and capacity building support to countries that need it. While climate change does not directly or inherently cause violent conflict, its interaction with other social, political and economic factors can nonetheless exacerbate drivers of conflict and fragility and have negative impacts on peace, stability and security. It is for precisely this reason that developing country NDCs included information on adaptation activities and the need for finance, technology development and transfer, capacity building and transparency. However, while the commitment by developed countries to jointly mobilize $100 billion per year by 2020 in support of climate action in developing countries has been central to the climate accords since 2009, the delivery on this commitment has been elusive. Mr. President, the impacts of climate change and its associated security risks have important gender dimensions. Women and girls experience the interplay between climate change and the peace and security in direct and profound ways. Since women are often providers of the food, water and energy for their families, they are likely to face increased challenges in accessing resources due to climate change. As the primary caregivers, women are often living on the front lines of climate change and has distinct knowledge and experience to contribute to building effective adaptation strategies. There is an urgent need to promote and support the meaningful participation of women and marginalized groups in the national level climate change policy and planning processes. Mr. President, India has taken significant steps to fight climate change and we have delivered on our commitments. Our mitigation strategies have emphasized on clean and efficient energy systems, safe, smart and sustainable green mass urban transport network, planned afforestation, integrating green thinking across all production and consumption sectors. India is only country on track among the G20 nations to meet its climate change mitigation commitments. We are not only meeting our Paris Agreement's targets, but will exceed them. India currently has the fastest growing solar energy program in the world. We have expanded access to clean cooking fuel to over 80 million households. This is among the largest clean energy drives globally. Our recent commitment of installing 450 gigawatts of renewable energy, elimination of single-use plastic, 100% railway electrification, and creation of an additional carbon sink by restoring 26 million hectares of degraded land, among other measures, have only added to our climate ambitions. India strongly believes that the only way to generate persistent, long-term and positive action in the climate change domain is through partnerships by undertaking collective action to make a lasting and sustainable impact. The International Solar Alliance and the Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure are two such initiatives by India that have been launched to addressing the challenges of climate change and adaptation. Mr. President, there is a significant opportunity for countries to integrate low carbon development in their COVID-19 rescue and recovery measures and long-term mitigation strategies that are scheduled to be announced for the reconvened 26th session of COP in 2021. To better integrate climate change adaptation and peace building, we would suggest the building of robust governance structure at the local, national, and regional levels to address climate and fragility related risks. This not only improves public perception of government legitimacy, but also shores up capacity of states to address climate risks before they become fragile. Donor countries should provide greater financial, technological, and capacity building assistance to help fragile states to put in place necessary adaptation and mitigation strategies to combat the impact of climate change. Mahatma Gandhi once said that there is enough for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. Let us then make the transition to a more climate-friendly lifestyle by adapting to a low-carbon development pathway based on our needs and not on our greed. Let us view climate change as a wake-up call and an opportunity to strengthen multilateralism and seek equitable and inclusive solutions to live a greener, cleaner, and sustainable world for our future generations. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Means, may all sentinel beings be at peace. May no one suffer from illness. May all see what is auspicious. May no one suffer. Please, peace, peace, peace. I thank you, Mr. President.